updates.
The second sentence.
Yeah.
The second sentence describes what has to be included.
I just want to make it clear that at DEP we're making every effort to coordinate our initiatives, our regulatory and planning initiatives with plan enforcement, and have proposed in the work plan management plan rules that through plan enforcement you can negotiate a different sewer service area in line with your plan endorsement. And if we are not going to be getting information on how the zoning, which is part of what is reviewed in the water quality management plan, and we're not going to know up front and before that is actually changed, then that it makes our process a lot more tenuous. So
how do you enforce that? How do you enforce that to get these towns? And we were just asking them to provide it after you've adopted it. We're monitoring them through the PIA. We know what they're doing. Hopefully we know what they're doing, just working with them. I'm just asking you, because that was the question.
Yeah, Tracy, let me just add this. If we can, enforcing it is not, I think the real question is it practical? And with the ordinance adoption process at the municipal level, where you have to introduce it, skip a meeting for publication, then have it adopted at the second reading, there is at least a 30-day spread between when an ordinance is proposed and when it's actually enacted. So at the time of the first reading, we could change it to that 30 days beforehand without really creating an undue hardship for the municipality or an impractical requirement that can't be implemented. So by knowing that just how the legal process of ordinance adoption takes place, we know we can ask for it at the time that they're introduced at least, and that will give us the 30 days. So there is a way of doing it beforehand.
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. The way I read this particular rule was really housekeeping. This was just after you've adopted whatever you've adopted, please make sure you send it to us so that our records are complete. I didn't see this as, by the way, after you've done something, please let us know. I was interpreting this as we're walking lockstep with you in the entire process. We're helping the municipality all along and making sure that they are consistent with us. After the fact, when you adopt it, then you're going to send this to us. Unless I'm mistaken. That's the way that I was reading the rule. So it was just more or less, make sure after you've adopted it that you send it to us so we have it.
That was what this particular provision was meant to do.
And I think it's covered in B. I think B pretty much spells out what you need to do.
So we can change that to prior to if they've already noticed it. But then we do need to be adopted.
Do you feel more comfortable 30 days prior to and 30 days after adoption? That make you feel more comfortable?
I think when people, at the municipal level, read through these types of rules, which are not that easy to comprehend, you stop when you see a number, when you see it in a specific directive. And when it's telling you here, 30 days after, versus the paragraph before, which has, I don't know how many words are sentences. That's what you focus on. So that's we need to give them a clear message that before they make substantive changes, they need to be telling us that.
Well,
that would be in the PIA. We would have that.
Well, I think it's covered, but it can't hurt, I guess, 30 days before and 30 days after. I don't know if it's going to change anything, but if it makes you feel more comfortable, then let's make Liz happy.
I think this sounds like a new requirement, though. The way it's worded in C makes it sound like this is something different than B. So maybe there's a way to combine the two.
Again, it is in the PIA. The PIA has the timetable by which towns will be submitting these ordinances that we're requiring them to adopt, any changes in their master plans that they will be incorporating at any time. So the timelines are in there. This is just a provision for those we want the final document and or any document that we don't know about, let us know. But we should know because it's in the PIA if they're working closely with us.
And just to add, John has been working with them monitoring. They prepare their assets, many times classes today, and so we're sharing that with cities and reviewing them. So that is part of a safer also.
unlikely that we wouldn't know.
I think it's impossible that we wouldn't know. Based on what I've seen, in other words, how the office is functioning. I mean, I actually think that certainly over the last several years, what's going on is that the monitoring process is pretty tight. And municipalities, not that they're necessarily complying with all their timetables, but certainly work on them and we're requiring them to report. So for example, if you look at Asbury Parks, and I don't need to pick on them, but it's just the most recent one, you can see where they've complied, where they have not, what the status of what they're doing is, why they've requested an extension, the progress that's been made, or if there hasn't been progress, why not? There's actually an explanation as to each and every point. So in the PIA, if there always is a requirement to monitor as far as zoning ordinances and master plans and all the rest of that stuff, that they're required to not only report to us, but to discuss with us what they're doing, and we're going to be reviewing it for consistency before it's even introduced. I mean, that's my understanding of the process, and that seems to be how it's working. So maybe let's just set your mind at ease, because you're at the table, through OSG, DEP is going to be included in that process.
Especially if they want DEP's assistance. They will want to make sure that whatever they prepare is approved by DEP prior to their adoptions.
And if it's adopted, it can be implemented, and different developments can be approved at a local level under a different management framework that we haven't seen the final products before adoption.
But how's that happen?
I guess in theory, it would be possible. It would take a lot of work to slide something through the 3%.
Well, correct me
Why
if
would
I'm-
they be going through the plan endorsement process in the first place? I mean, it's not gonna be easy. It's a complicated, onerous,
Excuse me,
expensive
one at a time.
set of requirements anyway. And, I mean,
This happens, I can imagine this happening, this is after endorsement and a change of administrations over a very controversial zoning issue maybe. I don't find the 6 months helpful to us at all. And I think the more municipalities that come into the process, the harder it's going to be to monitor every single step. I would really favor a short period, maybe 30 days, for them to provide what they have passed. In case it slips through the process, we weren't on top of it. But 6 months, I don't think helps us at all.
Well, that's the amendment. The amendment is to 30 days, correct?
We're recommending that
Yeah,
we
so
change the 30 days.
they're telling us we have to change it to 30 days. So you're right, you're right.
The question now is whether it should be prior to, after, or both.
Well, you definitely need it after, there's no
Right.
question about that. So the question is 30 days before necessary? Because I understand what Liz is saying. I don't know that it's not addressed, number one. Number two, because our office, meaning OSG, is going to be working with DEP, I don't know how, and I think, Wilson brought it up, I mean, I don't know how that happens. How does DEP not be in the loop? If they're going to get endorsed and then amend their master